Bigfoot, a 50-year journey come full circle, written by Dr. Matthew A. Johnson. I'm Willi Rose, and we are on Chapter 19, entitled Dead Man Walking. I need to hit the rewind button and take you back to February 14th, 2012. Although it was Valentine's Day, Cynthia was very gracious and agreed to share a romantic date with me on the following night so I could play in a City League basketball game. We were playing against a younger and faster basketball team. Most of their team members were in their 20s and 30s, while most of our team members were in their 40s and 50s. In spite of the age difference, it was a very close game. I stand 6 feet 9 inches tall and weigh over 300 pounds. Because of my size, the young bucks thought that they could pound on me inside the key near the basket. Also because of my size, most referees allow the poundings to take place without calling any fouls on them. Well, this old fart wasn't about to allow that to happen. I started throwing young bodies all over the court. The young bucks were very competitive and becoming upset because I wasn't rolling over and dying. Although I was grossly out of shape, I wasn't going to allow these puppies to win. I was sucking air and felt like a dead man walking. Nevertheless, I kept taking the ball to the hole and scoring at will. They couldn't stop me from scoring no matter how much they beat on me. During the second half of the game, I dove for a loose ball and was very proud of myself for out-hustling the younger guys to get my hands on the ball and secure it for my team. However, during my act of competitive hustling, the guard from the other team stepped on the back of my left leg. In all my 40 years of playing competitive basketball, I never felt so much pain in my life. I managed to get myself off of the floor so the game could resume without me. I hopped over to the corner of the gym on my right leg and leaned against the wall. I lifted up my left leg to try to move my left foot. Nothing. My foot was just dangling there. That was a confirmation for me that I most definitely severed my Achilles tendon. I thought to myself, crap. Sometimes I hate growing older. 2 days later, I went in for surgery to reattach my severed Achilles tendon. During the surgery, I almost died on the operating table. Apparently, I was allergic to the medication that they used to help my throat relax so they could slide a breathing tube down my throat. I stopped breathing and they had to get me breathing again. Although I was obviously knocked out and had no idea what had happened, I was happy to see that they got me breathing again. I'm a big fan of breathing. I like breathing. Nevertheless, it appears for a minute or two I may have been a dead man sleeping. 3 days later, Cynthia and I were on a plane flying from Seattle, Washington to New Orleans, Louisiana, where I had a speaking engagement regarding my positive parenting with a plan book. At this point in my life, I was still speaking in 80 cities per year all over the United States, training thousands of professionals and parents to use my parenting program in their agencies, private practices, and in their homes. While I was pushing myself around on a knee scooter, Cynthia was running behind me carrying my bags. I hate to admit it, but it was a blast zooming through the airport. I had to stop several times so Cynthia could catch up with me. After I was done speaking in New Orleans, Cynthia and I enjoyed some time staying in the French Quarter and the fun on Bourbon Street. I'm now a big fan of beads. Cynthia and I flew from New Orleans, Louisiana to Las Vegas, Nevada. Another way of saying it is we flew from Sodom to Gomorrah. I spoke in Las Vegas, once again training professionals and parents. Afterwards, Cynthia and I took in Cirque du Soleil show called O. It was awesome. Once again, I had fun zooming around on my knee scooter and had to exercise self-discipline so Cynthia could keep up with me. To be quite honest, if I didn't have Cynthia along with me, there was no way I could have fulfilled all of my speaking obligations. The next day, Cynthia drove the rental car from Las Vegas, Nevada to Los Angeles, California. Over the next couple of days, I spoke in different communities in the vast concrete jungle of humanity. By the end of my speaking tour, both Cynthia and I were exhausted. We were looking forward to returning home. We flew from Los Angeles, California, back to Seattle, Washington, drove back to the home in Puyallup, Washington, and face-planted in bed. Home sweet home. Not bad for someone who just went through surgery and almost died, right? After my speaking tour through Louisiana, Nevada, and California, my left leg ballooned like an elephant leg. No matter what I tried to do, it remained as an elephant leg. My leg was totally numb from my calf down to my toes. I could feel absolutely nothing. I put up with it for 3 years until I finally convinced my family physician to give me a referral to a specialist. On March 3rd, 2015, Cynthia and I were sitting in a vascular surgeon's office in Puyallup, Washington. The physician had his gal loop up my left leg with some gel, and she started doing an ultrasound on my upper thigh. Suddenly, she stopped and said, "Oh my God!" Cynthia and I looked at each other with surprised looks on our faces. I said, "What? What's wrong?" She just shook her head. As she continued to conduct the ultrasound on my upper left thigh, she said, "Oh my God," again. I said, "What? What's wrong with my leg?" She responded, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say anything. The doctor will talk to you about it." She started lubing up my upper thigh on my right leg and said, "Let's take a look over here." "Okay, everything looks good. Now let me take another look over here on your left leg." "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll go talk with the doctor and let him talk with you." She walked out of the room, and Cynthia and I just sat there in the room, alone, staring at each other. We could hear the young gal talking with the vascular surgeon out in the hallway on the other side of the door, but we couldn't tell what they were talking about. I was worried that I was going to have to go into emergency surgery. The vascular surgeon finally entered the room, quietly and calmly walked over to a chair near me, sat down, looked at me, and said, "Let me begin by telling you just how lucky you are. You should be dead. You had what I would diagnose as a big-ass DVT in your left leg that went from your groin to your knee, a deep vein thrombosis, a very large blood clot. If you walked in here with that large DVT in your leg, I would tell you to get your affairs in order because you're going to die. If I attempted to operate to remove the DVT, you would die. If I gave you medication to dissolve the DVT, you would die. If it broke up naturally on its own, you would die. You should be dead." Needless to say, Cynthia and I were completely stunned. I asked, "Well, is the DVT still there?" He responded, "No, that's just it. You should be dead. It's gone. The DVT is gone. I don't understand it. I've been a vascular surgeon for over 20 years, and I've never seen anyone survive DVT like the one you had. You should be dead. It's a miracle that you're not dead. You should be dead." I asked, "Well, if the DVT isn't there, then how do you know that I even had a big-ass DVT in the first place?" The vascular surgeon responded, "Because of the vascular damage the DVT left behind, it blew out the valves in your veins. We can see where the clot was. You should be dead. This is amazing. It's a miracle. You should be dead." Then I asked, "Well, do I need to go in for surgery?" He responded, "No, the DVT is gone. All you need to do is wear a compression sock and take an aspirin every day." I said, "That's it? A sock and an aspirin are going to get rid of my elephant leg?" He said, "The compression sock will help to get rid of your elephant leg. The daily aspirin will help to reduce the likelihood of you developing another big-ass DVT in the future." By the way, you should never fly on a plane so quickly after surgery. I responded, Well, no one told me not to do so. I had no idea. He said, Now you know. I still can't believe this. I'm looking at a miracle here. You should be dead. After 45 minutes of hearing "you should be dead" about 1,000 times, Cynthia and I had to dismiss the vascular surgeon from our appointment with him. We had other errands that we had to run, including purchasing some compression socks and a bottle of aspirin. Besides, there's only so many times that we could sit there and hear that "I should be dead." I got the point. I'm a dead man walking. Although I should be dead, I wasn't dead. It's a miracle. But wait a second. Who performed the miracle? Fast forward to July of 2015, Cynthia and I went to the Southern Oregon habituation area, SOHA, to enjoy 3 nights with the Bigfoot Forest People family. There was no one else with us. We were enjoying some alone time. Yes, we were able to reopen the portal again. Later on that night, Cynthia and I finally went to bed after entertaining our friends with music and singing. It had been a very hot day. Therefore, we slept in our sleeping bags but left the upper flap open. We didn't want to cook inside our bags. Cynthia had brought some sheets to cover us with so we could be protected from mosquitoes and other bugs. We both slept great. In the middle of the night, I woke up from a deep sleep and realized that I had been zapped. Although I was wide awake, my body was immobilized. I felt a large hand on the top of the sheet sliding back and forth over my left leg, from my groin to my knee and back to my groin again. There was some kind of energy emanating from the hand into my leg. After about 5 minutes, I heard the Bigfoot forest person engage in mind speak to another one. His leg is still okay. Immediately, I thought to myself, my leg is still okay? Still okay? Wait a second. You guys healed my leg? Then the hand slid over to my crotch area, and once again I could feel the energy emanating from his hand. No, nothing sexual happened. Get your mind out of the gutter. After a couple of minutes assessing the area, I heard some more mind speak. His prostate is still okay. I thought to myself, what? You guys are the reason why my prostate levels return back to normal? You, the reader, need to know that I had been struggling with prostatitis for 20 years. I almost ended up in the hospital twice. At one point, a few years earlier, I was told that my levels were nearing the possible cancerous stage and that they might have to obtain a biopsy. Finally, the hand slid up to my abdomen and rubbed over my stomach in a circular manner for approximately 30 minutes. I felt the energy penetrating my body, and I could feel something happen on the inside. You need to know that during the previous month, I had to go to the emergency room twice because of overwhelming pain in my abdomen. They gave me a CAT scan and discovered a golf ball-sized growth in my intestinal tract. They scheduled a colonoscopy for me so they could go inside and get a better look and obtain a biopsy. After 30 minutes of circular rubbing of my abdomen, I heard the Bigfoot forest person say to the other one present, "His stomach is okay now." I immediately engaged in mind speak and said to him, my mouth, please heal my mouth." He immediately said to the other one, "I'm not touching his mouth." I had some unresolved dental issues at that time, and I thought I would give it a shot. Why not? They healed my leg, prostate, and apparently my stomach. A couple days later, Cynthia and I were back in Puyallup, Washington. I was breathing in a mask that was covering my nose and mouth while counting backwards from 10. I passed out by the time I reached 5. When I woke up after the colonoscopy, the physician sat there amazed and said, "I couldn't find anything. I went up there twice and gave your intestinal tract a thorough look, and the growth is not there. It's gone. It's most certainly there in the CAT scan, but it's no longer there in your stomach. It's gone." I'm not sure how or why it isn't there. It's a miracle. Well, this dead man walking is happy to be alive. I'm grateful to God and to my Bigfoot forest people friends for taking care of me above and beyond the call of duty. When I think about it, in theory, I should have died sometime in February of 2012, yet 5 years later, I'm still alive. I've experienced 5 extra years that I wasn't supposed to live. Yet, by the will of God and by the healing hands of the Bigfoot forest people, I'm still alive today. I have no idea how much borrowed time I have left. Nevertheless, I do know that I'm grateful for every day that I wake up alive. Regarding the healings that I've experienced over the years, when most people are seriously sick, they pray to God for a healing. They also ask their friends to pray to God on their behalf for a healing. In many cases, they ask God to provide the right medication, the financial support, and to guide the hands of the healing physician through surgery. In other words, although the surgeon does the work, the appreciation for success is often given to the surgeon, but ultimately to God, i.e., God worked through the healing hands of the physician. When it comes to the healing hands of the Bigfoot forest people, I don't see any difference. I'm grateful for their healing hands, but ultimately I give the credit and glory to God. No physician or Bigfoot forest person can heal anyone outside of the will of God. The cool thing about the healing hands of the Bigfoot forest people is that there are no appointments needed, no releases need to be signed, no co-pays are required, and the insurance companies are never billed. Oh, and no HIPAA either. Matter of fact, in the case of my leg and prostate, they obviously spotted my medical problem and chose to do something about it without even asking me if they could do something about it. I was their friend, and they simply chose to help a friend out. In other words, they have a different cultural custom than we do. Today, our society is so litigious that we fear helping anyone out without having waivers and contracts signed by all parties involved first. Granted, there are still some humans who will see a need and jump in to help, whether or not they're asked to do so. Litigation be damned. Our culture is not their culture. Our customs are not their customs. They simply have a loving heart and want to help if they see that their friend has a need. On another occasion, Kevin Beagle, a good friend of mine, had his foot healed, and his leg was lengthened to match his other leg. They worked on him intensely for 2 nights in a row while in the Southern Oregon Interaction Area, SOIA, with me. Although he ended up in the hospital due to the intense work, he came out of the hospital doing well. His healing is medically documented with before and after x-rays. I'm aware of another gentleman who accompanied me to Soya on a few occasions who was healed. At this point in time, he wishes to remain anonymous. He's 100% convinced that the Bigfoot forest people healed him of cancer. They began their intense work on him while up on the mountaintop. They followed him home and continued to work on him for several weeks afterwards. By the time they were done, he went in for a physical and was pronounced healthy. Matter of fact, the physician reviewed all of the tests that he gave to him and said that he had the test results of a 25-year-old. The Bigfoot forest people that followed him home also provided healing for one of his children and one of his parents. His family members saw that he was healed by the Bigfoot forest people and asked him to send his friends over their way for a healing too. They quickly did so. Once again, amazing. At this point in time, I wish to address the issue of whether or not the Bigfoot forest people are demonic or not. The quick answer is no. They're not demonic. How can I be so certain that they're not demonic? Well, I have asked them whether or not they believe in God and that Jesus Christ is his only begotten Son. I recorded them saying, yes, pause, we do believe. I've also recording them saying, Yahweh, Hebrew for God, in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. Many people across North America who's been able to develop close and personal relationships with the Bigfoot forest people, like I have, all discuss how they feel an overwhelming sense of unconditional love when they're in their presence. Finally, they're able to heal those who are sick, and in my case, prevent me from dying. I'm sorry, but demons don't do any of the above, and I'm sure that they would prefer to take human life, not save human life. I strongly believe that no living being can heal anyone else apart from the will and power of God. I have much more to say about the Bigfoot forest people and their relationship with God, but it will have to wait until a later chapter. That's the end of chapter 19. And we continue with chapter 20, The Bigfoot Teacher. Bigfoot, a 50-Year Journey Come Full Circle is written by Dr. Matthew A. Johnson. I'm Willi Rose.